Hello everybody, I'm Madam Nasra. Let's proceed with our subtopic. As we ended at the last session, it was the assimilation policy. We have seen what is assimilation, what is assimilado, what is assimilation means. So now let's see the reasons why French applied assimilation policy in her colonies. Why French decided to use the assimilation policy. The first one is French Revolution of 1789. French applied assimilation policy in her colonies since they said that the French Revolution, which occurred in 1789, advocated for the equality, fraternity, and freedom to all regardless of value or color. So they wanted, the revolution occurred in French, wanted all people to be equal, also advocated on the fraternity and the freedom to all people regardless of their color. That's why they decided to make their people in their colonies to resemble, to look similar like French. The next one is assimilation policy applied by the French to spread their superiority all over the world. Since the Africans assimilated would continue to spread French superiority. This is superiority complex, as they believed that their culture, their color, and everything of French are super compared to other culture. So they wanted those Africans who will be assimilated to continue to proceed to spread the French superiority. The third point is to spread French culture and civilization. French applied assimilation policy since they wanted to spread their culture through language and customs. They believed that their culture were good compared to other culture or compared to African culture. Also, they believed themselves that Africans were more civilized, so they wanted to spread the French culture to Africans, also to civilize Africans through the languages and the customs. This can be seen even in nowadays. The former French colonies, they use the French language. The good example is Congo. The next one is assimilation applied to turn African to behave like French citizen, that is to be assimilado, to look similar. Like it was their habit for French to turn Africans to look like French people or French citizen. That's why they termed the one, assimilado, as a French citizen. He or she has a right, like the right of other French citizen who is in French. The next one is to facilitate French exploitation. Assimilation aimed at exploiting Africans smoothly by creating false consciousness to those who assimilated or assimilators to work for the benefit of French. This is, they thought that, or they believed that if they be assimilated and they will term themselves as French, at the end of the day it will be easier for them to exploit. So they wanted to facilitate the work, exploitation of Africans and their resources. The next one is cheap economically, since assimilators work and behave just like French and they became passive. It was cheap for them to to apply, since they were though the assimilados behaved like French, so they became passive to the resistance. Now we see the characteristics or features of French assimilation policy. These were to be the first one, they were to be communal representative in the French National Assembly. The law and applicable in France were well applied in the territories. The next one is the French Africans were considered as a great obstacle for colonial rule. The French Africans were considered to be a great obstacle for colonial rule. So they were considered themselves Africans as the obstacle to colonial rule. The next is the French administrative structure was more oppressive than that of British. It was very, very oppressive compared to that used by British during the indirect rule. The next is Africans were allowed to register as French citizens and they could seek election as deputies in parishes. I mean, as I said before, that if we will be assimilated, you will have the right like a French citizen who is in France. Therefore, even the Africans who were assimilated were allowed to register themselves as a French citizen, and they could seek for election if they want. The next one is the French administrators were given more judicial power in the provinces, even though they wanted to make Africa feel like French, but also there are biasness. I mean, the more judicial power in the provinces was under the French administrators. The next is French decided not to use African traditional institutions in their administration. They used the French institutions instead of the local, or traditional rules of what? Of ruling system. Now we see all this partially the structure of the assimilation system of administration. Both weakened African tradition and Islamic religion in the West by introducing Christianity, that is Roman Catholic, although this will be the similarities of assimilation policy and association policy. That's why they said that both destroyed African traditional authorities and leaders, since assimilated Africans replaced many to the traditional leaders. Another is both undermined African culture were regarded as inferior towards French culture, which regarded as superior and civilized, for example, French language. So they undermined African culture. They thought that the Africans' languages were inferior, were not good, it was of low status. That's why they introduced the language. The next is assimilation policy weakened African traditions such as Islamic religion in West Africa by introducing Christianity. For example, Roman Catholic. When they came, they met with the Africans with their traditional religions. Also, they had the Islamic. So after the coming of French, with their ruling system. They weakened the all Africans' traditional religions, and they established the Roman Catholic Church. The next is Cologne was incorporated into the French Republic and regarded as an overseas province of French-speaking people in the West Africa. Still, Cologne was incorporated into the French Republic and regarded as overseas province of French-speaking people in the West Africa. This is an example. As I said before, that the French government termed their colony as the part of the French, so they termed as overseas province. The great example is West Africans still have the close relationship with the French people than their fellow African countries. That is how they termed their colonies. It's just colony. It was the part of French, just like province of French, which is at overseas. It's not located at French, but it is the part of French. The next is assimilation policy integrated or allowed Africans to participate in French political matters. Assimilation policy integrated or allowed Africans to participate in French political matters in French or parish. Assimilation policy allowed Africans to participate in French Parliament. For the example, Blaise Dagny was elected as deputy in French Parliament. So, in assimilation policy, Africans were allowed to participate in all French political matters. That's why, like elections, as you can see this example, Blaise Dagny was elected as deputy in French Parliament. Therefore, this marks the end of our second topic, which is the. Now let's see the exercise. I hope from at the first time where we started up to here I ended, I hope you have got something. Now let's see the exercise. There is two questions. The first one is why French preferred to use assimilation policies in her colonies. Do you think why? Then give me an answers when we meet in the next session. The next one is why direct rule failed to develop than indirect rule in their administration. Do you think why this direct rule failed, didn't succeed as compared to indirect rule, as it ended just on the war, as we can see during the World War I, as German was termed as the main causative with her direct rule system. So, do you think why this was not good, failed to succeed to develop the colonialism compared to indirect rule? Thank you for watching.